So this is our final game looking back at Drew Lock's rookie season. Game Pass still free from now until the end of May. I'm Phil Milani, chatting here with Eric Dalala. Eric, this was the final game of the season. Wanted to see if Drew Lock can finish the season 4-1.
Yeah, Phil, and I think the difference between that and 3-2 feels pretty different, and Drew kind of finishing up the third quarter here with two big throws to get the Broncos in scoring position, and then Phillip Lindsay getting a few more yards on first down. You're up 10 heading into the fourth quarter, it appears. So, what can you do to make sure you ice this game? And this was a big one, Phil, because the Raiders had something riding on it.
Yeah, the Raiders still technically were in position to possibly get into the playoffs. They needed like a million things to go right, but hey, they knew that they needed to take care of their business first, and so they had a lot to play for. And I think from the Broncos' perspective, the Raiders are a rival. You want to be able to beat them, and especially after what happened week one of the season, this was a pretty good way to bookend the season.
Yeah, that game didn't go well. The Broncos offense struggled for most of the game until the end. Joe Flacco, the quarterback at that point. So this kind of shows you the steps that you've taken as a team and kind of the advantage that home field can make. But I think in this quarter, Phil, we kind of want to look at what didn't go right for the Broncos because after that field goal that McManus just made to go up 16-3, the Broncos won't score again. And so kind of looking at what can Drew Lock improve upon. Part of it has to do with this, Phil. The Raiders just held the ball a lot in this quarter.
And that's something that the Broncos have faced with Derek Carr a lot is his ability to be able to complete quick passes, really to negate the pass rush, and to be able to just dominate time of possession. I know that was a big factor in that week one matchup out in Oakland, and that was, again, a case here in the fourth quarter where they were really able to dominate time of possession and really be one play away from winning this game.
Yeah, and I do think it goes to show, I think it said there the Raiders had over 300 yards of offense, the Broncos just over 200. Locke didn't have a flashy game, I believe, just one touchdown pass, but he did what he needed to do, and we talked about this on our last episode of this, Phil. Being able to win the game when you don't have your best stuff or when everything's not going right, that's what you want to see from a young quarterback and really from a quarterback in general.
Yeah, exactly. A low-scoring game, only able to manage 16 points. And, there were a couple of questionable calls in this game where they goal line reviews and things like that. So the Raiders were really able to move the ball well in this game, but not able to really come away with a lot of points. And, some of that credit has to go toward the Broncos defense.
Yeah, and you're playing with some guys, Phil, that haven't played a whole lot. You see Trey Marshall toss the ball back to the official there. You've got Isaac Yiadom at cornerback. Trey Marshall, of course, in because Kareem Jackson is serving a 2-game suspension. Another sack there for Jeremiah Tachu. He's shown up a lot, Phil, in these games that we've gone over.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I thought that re-signing him was a sneaky good move, just because he's going to pay off down the line where at some point in the season, you're going to be facing some injury problems and some concerns there, especially when it's week 17. Games like that, you need to have your depth, and the Broncos certainly were stretched thin in this game.
Yeah, and 16-6 there, I believe they held him to a field goal, right? And I think what you need to see from Drew Lock here is the ability to take time off the clock. To me, if you can do that, that's as good as scoring in this position.
Yeah, and you get a good chunk of yards there on first down with Phillip Lindsay. I think this is another reason why the Broncos look to get a guy like Melvin Gordon, because in situations like this, he's going to be a huge factor in trying to just run out the clock. And you see Drew Lock go out of bounds there and take a shot. Those are things that you just don't need to have happen at this point.
Right, and I think on that play, Phil, you saw Tim Patrick kind of get open. He was across the line to gain. I think I would have liked to see Drew Lock make that pass. You do pick up 15 yards here, but you don't need to see him take that hit. So, again, maybe some uncertainty in a tough moment, but let's get the ball out of your hand there and take the completion.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with what happened with Drew in the preseason, with his injury problems and not being able to, get out onto the playing field for a long time. He can't play like he's afraid to get hurt, but especially heading into what's going to be a big offseason for Drew, you don't want to see any injuries here.
Right. Kind of a crazy play here. I think they actually rule this a fumble. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it gets negated or not, overturned. But on the field, they're saying he fumbled Cortland Sutton with the awareness to pick it up, which is going to get him a first down.
Can you advance the ball on a fumble in the fourth quarter?
I think you can do that outside of 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah. That's one of those weird rules where, it's so specific to the time and the quarter.
Yeah. But again, I think Drew is just doing a little bit too much there, scrambling around, kind of making one of those schoolyard plays. I think just be a little bit more cautious in that situation. Again, you don't need to get your hand hit. You don't need to essentially leave it in the hands of the officials. And there, Royce Freeman, I believe the only fumble of his career so far happens right there, gives the Raiders the ball back with 6 minutes to go. And that's a big fumble, Phil, because without Royce dropping the ball there, you probably take another 2-3 minutes off the clock, drain some of their timeouts at the very least, and instead the Raiders have a chance here to keep it close.
And what took place here in this final 5 minutes was a crazy ending in this game. You see Von Miller get a sack there on Derek Carr, but David Carr, wow, showing my age there.
Yeah, Hunter Renfrow wide open there.
But it was just a crazy ending. So many things had to go a certain way. And, you think that you're up 10 points with this Broncos defense and only 5 minutes to go. You think that the game should be out of reach. But as it showed, it definitely was not.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, like some of these guys that are out here, the Isaac Yiadom, the Trey Marshall, they're not guys that would be starting under normal circumstances. And so some of this is just a war of attrition, but you do need depth. So hopefully the Broncos are able to address that a little bit better. I like some of the moves they've made in the back end so far to start free agency.
Eric, this is typically the time in the game where we're making our way down from the press box down onto the field to start doing some R things. And I know that at this point, I was down on the field. I was like, this game is wrapped up. There's no problem. I was going over in my head some of the major storylines, but the Raiders had some other things in plan.
Yeah, and this is kind of weird. There's 3.5 minutes left. You're still down 10. And so you'd like to think even if they score a touchdown here, it's over. They obviously choose to take the points to make it a 7-point game. But the Broncos had a lot of opportunities here where you just need one play to go your way and everything's over. And again, Locke has one more chance here to kind of ice the game away.
Yeah, and nice play there by Deontay Spencer to let the ball go into the end zone for a touchback.
Cool.
But, yeah, exactly. A big loss on first down is really a terrible way to get this thing started because you need a first down, but at the same time you want to run clock and play action there, just not going well. And closing out games like this is going to be a big learning curve.
Yeah, it's a young offense, so you've got to have guys that can, again, learn how to win. Some of the strategy here is interesting. On second down, you choose to throw the football so the Raiders don't have to use a timeout, so they keep one of them. And then on third down, I don't mind that Locke ran instead of thrown incomplete, but you can slide down, man. You don't have to take that shot there at the end. Probably your last drive of the season as a quarterback. You're the future. You don't need to take that risk.
Well, he got a little bit close to the first down marker, so maybe he thought he could get the first down and seal the game, but you're right. Don't take the shot unless it's absolutely necessary.
And now we just have, the defense kind of trying to hold on here, and we've seen this a bunch this year, Phil. Justin Simmons almost picks that off accidentally, kind of. But against the Bears, against the Jaguars, against the Colts, against the Vikings, you saw time and time again this defense trying to hold a late lead and wasn't able to do it. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking, what's going to happen here?
Do you believe in the idea of a team needs to learn how to win?
Yeah, I think with a young offense, that's definitely the case. And, the defense made a big stop there. And again, with 2 minutes left, I think it's mostly this offense that needs to just learn how to put games away, because you're going to have 2 drives here inside of 3 minutes where if you just get a first down, it's over. And in neither situation are they able to do that. Another bad play on first down, a false start here that just puts you behind the sticks. And the Raiders still haven't used a timeout.
I do believe in learning to win, and that was something that this team started to do at the end of the season. Little things make a big difference in tight games like that, and you got to learn how to finish these games and make these big plays. 3rd down and 8 here, only 6 seconds have come off the clock at this point, and you just get stuffed there hoping to run the clock down. And then you think the defense should still be able to take care of this, but as we see, it got a little too close for comfort.
Well, when you think that the game's over here, Phil, because they're in Oakland territory, a field goal is going to end the game. It looks like Philip Lindsay gets face masked. The refs don't see that, but they do see Garrett Bowles kind of pushing and shoving toward the end of the play, and you get a 15-yard penalty that turns a 42-yard field goal into a 57-yarder. And the Broncos decide to try it. I probably would have punted the ball in that situation, but maybe the chance is worth it to ice the game there with a make. But that, again, that's learning how to win. You can't have a 15-yard penalty at the end of a game when a 42-yard field goal wins it. You can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to trust your kicker. Brandon McManus says he could go out there and make it. It doesn't work out, and then if you this game was meaningless for the Broncos, but if you could imagine a situation where this was a must-win game, it would have been a lot more stressful than it already was.
Right. Well, for me, Phil, I'm writing the game recap up in the press box. I'm still warm up there while you're freezing down on the sideline, and I go from thinking, hey, this game recap was done an hour ago to I'm gonna have to change everything in 36 seconds.
There were 2 or 3 times at the end here where I thought this one was done. All these moments where you get the 4th down stop, you think it's done. Okay, at the very minimum, you're going to get the field goal. You think it's done. And in my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have thought something like this would happen.
Right, and just kind of a weird game. Drew Lock, I believe, only attempted 1 pass in the entire 4th quarter. Just kind of a funky situation when they didn't possess the ball much, got behind the chains. And some of that I understand on that last drive there, Phil. I think it's okay to be conservative because you're thinking, hey, even if we don't gain a single yard, we're still in field goal range, and then the penalty puts you in bad shape.
Exactly, and then you give up a huge play like this down the sideline. Just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong until the 2-point conversion, of course. But, this team just learning how to win some of these things. We knew that Carr struggled in some of these situations where, it's cold outside. I think his record, maybe just 1 win when the temperature was below freezing.
Yeah, I think below 40. He has not a great record, and obviously was below that in this game. But you're still hoping maybe the Broncos have a chance here for an ending like they did against Pittsburgh in 2018, where you make a goal line stand. This was a long minute of football, Phil.
Yes, it was. 15 seconds to go, a bunch of tries here, and then the Raiders get in. And I'm thinking, I have to stand outside in this cold for all of overtime now, overtime for a Week 17 game. John Gruden had other ideas.
Yeah, I think at that point, the other game had gone final that the Raiders were waiting on. I think they realized they were no longer in the playoff hunt, and they said, hey, let's be done with it.
Carr, batted down, Shelby Harris.
Shelby Harris makes a big play there to seal things off, to earn a 16-15 win, and Drew Lock finishes 4-1.
Yeah, what an exciting play by Shelby Harris. Of course, signing a one-year deal to come back with the Broncos. I think that was a big move for this defensive line. And one of the things that Bill Kollar preaches is getting your hands up and knocking down those passes. And then the Broncos finish things off by recovering the onside kick.
Where's Tim Patrick going?
I don't know. Just get down. Well, maybe he thought he could just run out the clock there. It didn't happen like that, though. Oh, yeah,
No, we got some good,
CBS.
good TV. And then some extracurriculars with the Raiders. We always love that.
Exactly. It wouldn't be a rivalry if you didn't have some extracurriculars. Well, the Broncos got this one done just barely, and Drew Lock finished the season 4-1. A lot of momentum heading into the offseason and a lot of things to be excited about right now in Broncos country. But that's going to do it for our look back at some of the top moments last season. For Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Moore.